These consultants had charged 440,000 Australian dollars for this report and then hadn't since checked it. This team of highly paid consultants had just spat something out ChatGPT, done a precursory check, published it, sent it to the government and charged them. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle and this is the aptly named AI with Kyle show. I'm going to be running through the latest news and updates from the world of artificial intelligence, as well as answering questions from the live audience who are joining us from TikTok, YouTube and Twitter. Hello to everybody and good morning. So I'm a little bit late today. I would say that it's for a good work reason, but I was watching The Traitors, so that does not really count as a good work reason. But if you watch The Traitors here in the UK, you'll get it. You'll understand. Let's kick off with Sora. So Sora came out last week. People are still trying to get codes. If you do want a code, I've put together a guide for you. It's at aiwithkyle.com /Sora-code-guide. So you can go and get a guide about how to get a code. I don't have any codes left to give out myself. I'm sorry about that. But there are 3 or 4 different ways you can get a code on that page. So it's well worth checking out. And the big news is that Sora's downloads, so the app Sora, in its first week was nearly as big as ChatGPT's launch. So ChatGPT had one hell of a launch, like a really good launch, one of the most successful in tech history. Sora has matched it with basically a spin-off application for ChatGPT. So you have to download a specific app for Sora, which is only available in America and Canada at the moment. Despite that, the launch has been nearly as big as ChatGPT's. After OpenAI's video generating app Sora surged to #1 position on the US App Store, it has now technically experienced a bigger first week than ChatGPT on iOS. Estimates show that Sora saw 627,000 iOS downloads in its first 7 days of availability compared with iOS downloads during its first week. So it's popular, and it's also a little bit of a false equivalency because ChatGPT was open for everybody. Anyone could download ChatGPT and have instant access. That is not the case with Sora. With Sora, you need to have an invite code. So there is actually an artificial restriction in the number of people who can access Sora at the moment. So despite that, it had more app downloads within the first week than ChatGPT. So it's had one hell of a launch. And I think a lot of that is to do with the virality of the video. It's a lot easier to market a video app or a image app than it is a text-based large language model or a chatbot based on a large language model. So that's why we saw things like Nano Banana really kicking off. We also saw a spike in the number of ChatGPT downloads when the Studio Ghibli images were going viral as well. So imagery, video is a really good way to show, I don't want to say normal people, but people who are not using AI, to show lay people out there why AI is cool. So we had exactly the same thing happened with Sora, and it became one of the fastest downloaded apps ever, despite it being limited by how you can access it via the code. Again, if you need a code, go to aiwithkyle.com. It's a new website, I'm getting used to it, /Sora-code-guide. I could probably just change that to /Sora. That'll be a lot easier, then I don't have to read it out. What is very interesting is, yes, there's a huge amount of downloads, but the current rating on the App Store is 2.9. So just under 3 stars. Pretty low. The Sora 2 app rating is 2.9. It's still #1 in photo and video, but it is not popular. This seems to be because they have restricted and started to censor within the app. The first few days were basically anything goes. You could generate whatever you wanted. You could put in Pikachu. There was a video of Sam Altman eating Pikachu. He barbecued and ate Pikachu. Can't do that anymore. Any IP, so intellectual property that belongs to a large company, has basically been removed. They're talking about allowing it to come back, but allowing the IP holder to monetize it. So it'd be like Fortnite, but inside Sora or skins. But what has happened is this kind of frenzy of unrestricted creativity it helped with the launch, obviously. This is one of the most downloaded applications of all time, even more popular than ChatGPT, despite the restrictions. After that week, they shut everything down and said, no, you can't actually do this. You're not allowed to generate this kind of image. Absolutely not. And they added the moderation tools. All of the comments on Reddit are things like this. It happens every single time there's a new update. For a few days, they allow literally everything in order to lure new subscribers. And once they're hooked, they block almost everything and make the quality subpar again. And I agree with this. This is what happens with every single video generating app and every single image generating app. They'll allow the guardrails off, get the excitement, get the viral moment, and then lock it down. So Elon Musk, bless him, for the last week or so, he's been posting videos and images on Twitter saying, oh yeah, but look how good Grok is. And Grok is not as good as Sora. Grok Imagine, which creates videos, is not as good as Sora. So he's been ignored. Grok hasn't got the same amount of attention as Sora at all. So what they've done, I think this is in response, and I need to be really careful here because there's nudity. Nope, I'm okay, I'm fine. What they have done last night, they've basically removed all the censorship from Grok and from Grok Imagine. You can now generate you can generate nudity immediately, like no guardrails there at all. And then you can animate that nudity as well. So I think that Elon Musk and XAI have seen the popularity of Sora. They've seen how well Sora has done in the last week, and then they've seen the backlash as soon as the guardrails were added. And they're trying to capitalize on that by saying, hey, go nuts. You can do whatever you want on Grok. And I've got a Twitter thread up on screen, which I need to be really careful about. I cannot scroll down because nudity is totally allowed, and some people have even managed to create pornography using Grok. So this is a very Elon Musk move. See what someone else is doing, get annoyed that they're getting all the attention, see that they're failing in a certain way and people are angry because of the moderation, because of the censorship, and then say, come and use ours because we like to get nasty over on Grok. Again, I cannot scroll this down because I'll get banned from YouTube. I'll get banned from everywhere for showing this. So I'm going to get rid of that, actually. Grok has now been, or the guardrails have basically been removed from Grok. And I think it's a push to get attention back on Grok because realistically, it is not as good as Sora at all. It's not as good as Nano Banana either in terms of imagery. No questions, that is fine. And Elon Musk does not like being out of the limelight. And for the last couple of weeks, it's been OpenAI. Everything's been about ChatGPT. And the rivalry between Sam Altman and Elon Musk is well known. So I'm sure it's made him seething for the last week or so. Speaking of OpenAI, we have some more news about ChatGPT. Sorry, Elon. So OpenAI's affordable ChatGPT Go plan expands to 16 new countries in Asia. So this released about 2 months ago in India. So a lower cost version of ChatGPT. OpenAI were back then 2 months ago complaining that they didn't have enough processing power and it was causing problems and they needed to get more processing power, so they needed more money to build new data centers. And at the same time, they launched a paid version in India, which is much cheaper, but it gives you similar, not quite as much, but similar to a $20 subscription. So people were saying, why are you opening up more need for capacity over in India and charging a small amount of money? They've gone ahead and they've opened it up in 16 more countries. So OpenAI is rapidly expanding its affordable ChatGPT Go plan, which costs under $5, so it's very cheap, to 16 new countries across Asia. The subscription tier is now available in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei Darussalam, sorry if you're from Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, East Timor, and Vietnam. Interestingly, I'm not seeing Indonesia there. Yeah, Indonesia is not there. Indonesia has a huge population. Let me look it up so I don't get it wrong. Indonesia has a population of 283 million, but it is not there. They're also allowing users to pay in their local currency, so you won't have to pay in dollars anymore. And the basic idea here is they have a lot of free users in these countries because $20 a month in certain countries is a lot of money. It's a huge portion of a monthly income because the cost of living is lower and the salaries are lower there. So $20 in US dollars is a lot of money to spend. So what they're trying to do is get some people from the free plan into some form of paying plan, understanding that there is price sensitivity, and then providing a tier which allows people to still pay to get expanded usage in order to at least get some revenue rather than just having free users. So it makes an awful lot of sense. And it means in these countries you now have free, Go, Plus, and Pro. And Go gives everything in the free package with extended access to GPT-5. So you're going to have higher usage limits, extended access to image generations, extended access to file uploads, extended access to advanced data analysis. Notice that they never actually say how much. OpenAI and all the AI companies are very careful to do this. They're never going to say, oh, you get 300 image generations a day, or you can use ChatGPT 600 times. They never give those numbers because then people will be able to track and then call them out when it goes wrong. So instead they just say, oh, you get more. It's a general thing. So this is a way to open up new revenue streams in countries that wouldn't necessarily go for the $20 or the $200 a month, pushing out to another, 16 new countries. Oh, apparently Google are doing something very similar. So OpenAI is competing with Google to make affordable AI chatbot subscription plans more available in most regions. Google launched its similarly priced Google AI Plus plan in Indonesia. So there we go. Again, Indonesia has a population of 280 million people, huge, followed by expansion to over 40 countries. The Plus tier gives users access to Gemini 2.5 Pro, Google's most advanced AI model. Okay, so they're competing with Google over in Asia and Southeast Asia and South Asia. I would love to see what the uptake of DeepSeek and Qwen and Kimi and various Chinese models is over there, because all of those models are open source and free for the most part, which is in part China's strategy to get market penetration in countries that can't necessarily justify spending $20 a month on an AI subscription. Instead, China will provide free access to AI. Companies will start to use these AIs and to build upon these AIs and the APIs, and that allows China to get market penetration in around the world, anywhere that's not Europe and America, basically. So I'd love to compare this to usage. Let's see if we can find it actually. Let's ask ChatGPT while we're doing it in the background. Countries, DeepSeek, used it in the most. Obviously China. That's a very broad question, but let's have a look. India, here we go, Demand Sage. Let's look at the countries, there we go. So China is 30% of the users of DeepSeek, obviously. I'm surprised it's not a lot more, honestly. India is 13%, Indonesia is 7%, followed by the US, France, etc. Okay, so they are aiming at market penetration in other Asian countries. So that is also what ChatGPT and OpenAI are competing against. It's not just competing against Google, it's competing against companies like DeepSeek. Phone, change my region and use VPN. So Mindful Moments, there's a way to access it without using the App Store, which is much easier. Basically, you use the browser version, because otherwise you need to change your iPhone store region, which you can do, but it's just a bit of a pain to do. So the easiest way is going to be using the browser-based version. So you're going to go to sora.chatgpt.com/explore, but you do it on a browser. So you do it on Chrome, you do it on Edge, whatever browser you use, Safari. You go to sora.chatgpt.com/explore with your VPN turned on, set to America, and then you'll be able to access the ability to put in a code. So you can bypass the application entirely. That's the best way to do it. This is how I'm doing it personally. The main limitation is you cannot get access to cameos. So you cannot put yourself into the videos. You can only do that via the application downloaded from the App Store. But that will get you a little bit closer. So good luck with that. Again, there's a guide at aiwithkyle.com/Sora-code-guide. That will give you a few different ways to get into Sora. And I'm sure they're going to open up access in the next few weeks as well. Cool. I wanted to have a look at this. This is hot on the heels of the Deloitte story that we talked about earlier in the week. Basically, Deloitte, a big consultancy advisory company, put out a report for the Australian government, for the Albanese government, and it was riddled with errors. They'd made up footnotes and they had statistics that weren't true. It was just a complete mess because they'd used AI. And a lot of people were saying, look, this shows how terrible AI is. This shows how bad people are at using AI, the need for training, because these consultants are charged 440,000 Australian dollars for this report and then hadn't since checked it. So it means this team of highly paid consultants had just spat something out ChatGPT, done a precursory check, published it, sent it to the government and charged them nearly 500,000 Australian dollars. That's a human problem. That's not an AI problem. Interestingly, in that context, we have IBM talking about consulting this week and how consultancies must become software companies. They must start to use AI and to build with AI if they're going to survive. And I think this is 100% the case. So IBM, yes, they do computers. They used to make computers. They don't do much of that anymore. They are a consulting company. So they help consult with system integrations and large build-outs of IT systems. So primarily, I'd have to look at the revenue breakdown, but they are a huge consulting company now. Consultancies must reinvent themselves as software companies if they are to survive in the age of AI, according to the head of IBM Consulting. There we go. A rethink was needed because of new competition from technology companies and skepticism from clients, Muhammad Ali told the Financial Times in an interview, as questions swirl in the industry about the opportunities and threats posed by AI. So I think that they're sitting in between two very painful pinch points. The first is, if you are going to be like Deloitte and you're going to just use AI to generate your report, not bother to check it, and then charge your client $500,000, why are we hiring you? Why bother? Why am I going to hire you to do this consultancy and this advisory work when you are just using ChatGPT? I can use ChatGPT. I can give ChatGPT to my team. Why the hell am I paying you $500,000 for this? So on one side, there is that. It's the fact that we now have access to a team of experts, advisory and consultancy basically given to us. Asking the right questions, we can come to these conclusions ourselves. Why on earth would we pay $500,000 to a bunch of people in lovely suits to put together a deck for us that is created using artificial intelligence? So it removes the demand side of the equation because you can now roll your own using artificial intelligence for your business outside. The other side of it is software and the ability to create your own software within your organization using vibe coding, but also using AI tools within traditional development just to speed everything up. And it allows a business to try things out much faster. So previously you might need to scope up a piece of work. You'd use consultants to potentially find different vendors to supply different parts of that. That is becoming less and less relevant. So you don't necessarily need to do the upfront spend when you can just start building and develop and deploy much faster and see if it works. So I think consulting is just getting squeezed in the middle. It just brings into stark contrast what these companies are needed for. You might remember from, I think it's 2018, McKinsey did a report for New York City. And New York City had said, hey, we've got a rat problem. How do we get rid of the rats? McKinsey, after being given $4 million, put together this 90-page slide deck, which basically said, use wheelie bins. You need to stop putting your bin bags in the street because the rats open them up and the rats have lots to eat. You need to start putting your bin bags in wheelie bins. And that cost $4 million. So there are already questions about what value do these companies actually provide, but with the advent of AI, that is becoming extremely stark. And I think a lot of consultancy companies are in this place where their value proposition has just been kicked out from underneath them. So I think Muhammad Ali here, they need to move from just telling people what they should be doing to actually starting to build for the consultancy. So merging more with a software company. So it's not just, hey, you should build a new client acquisition system. Instead, we're going to help you start to build that using artificial intelligence so you can start to deploy it. So it's bringing together the implementation and the consultation. I think they're going to have to move in that direction and get closer to a software development company. How to use Sora 2 in New Zealand. So you cannot download the application unless you change your app, your telephone's region, your iPhone's region, and change the other app store. It's a bit of a faff, honestly. So what you can do is you can VPN and then use the browser-based version. So you VPN to America or Canada. America's easier. And then on your browser, on Chrome or Safari or Edge, you're going to go to sora.chatgpt.com/explore, and then you can enter a code from there. And the best places to get codes are the OpenAI Discord, and there is a mega thread on Reddit as well. If you Google Sora 2 codes mega thread, you should be able to find it. And that's where you get the codes from. But you need to use the VPN and then the browser-based method in order to even be able to enter a code. George Miller. Yeah, we'll talk about George Miller. There's a rumor that we're getting Gemini 3 today on Thursday. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. Big announcements happen on Thursday for whatever reason. OpenAI in particular release on Thursdays. Apparently we might be getting Gemini 3. We'll see though. It's not here yet though. But if it is, I'll cover it tomorrow. So I've got an interview here with George Miller. He's the guy who directed the recent Mad Max films. He's done a whole bunch of other things. You'll also recognize him if you've played any Death Stranding 2. He's Tarman, for whatever reason. So George Miller has, what other films has he done? He is putting his film into an AI film festival. So he did all the Mad Maxes. I did not realize he did the original Mad Maxes. He also did 3,000 Years of Longing. So he's one of the rare film directors who's talking about, hey, this AI stuff is here to stay and we need to start taking it seriously. So the director believes AI has made filmmaking way more egalitarian and is set to lead the judges at the Omni AI Film Festival in Australia. Okay, so he's going to be a judge at an AI film festival. There's no arguing the use of artificial intelligence in filmmaking is getting a bad rap. Generated howls of protest from actors' unions across the UK and the US. It's fake controversy, where the industry is still reeling from the last year's 118-day strike over, amongst other issues, the threat of AI. And early this week, Australia's Productivity Commission was pilloried by Liberals and Greens alike for failing to recognise the dire impact AI might have on the country's creative industries. Also, over in California, there are now protections against the use of AI actors and actresses in films. Quite what that means in practical senses, we're not quite sure, but they're starting to put up legal blocks on it. So George Miller is one of the first directors to come forward and say, actually, no, this is a tool and we're going to use it and we're going to make better films using it. So AI is arguably the most dynamically evolving tool in making moving image. Yeah. Miller tells The Guardian, as a filmmaker, I've always been driven by the tools. AI is here to stay and change things. It's a balance between human creativity and machine capability. That's what the debate and the anxiety is about, he says. It strikes me how this debate echoes earlier moments in art history. He likens our current moment to the Renaissance, when the introduction of oil paint gave artists the freedom to revise and enhance their work over time, because you can paint over. That shift sparked controversy. Some argued that true artists should be able to commit to the canvas without corrections. Others embraced the new flexibility. A similar debate unfolded in the mid-19th century with the arrival of photography. Yes, because it was considered to be cheap and easy and not art compared to painting. As art has continued to evolve, and while photography became its own form, painting continued. Both changed and both endured. Art changed. So he is probably the first big director to come out and say, this is a tool, we're going to use it. We're going to use it to make film. It's here to say, tough. And he's going to be judging an AI film festival. So I used to work in film and TV. I actually went to film school in New York, NYU, and putting together a short film, talking 5-10 minutes, was incredibly expensive, because you end up you have 20-30 people working on set. So even if you're paying them not very much, it just ends up costing a huge amount of money. And then you have the unions, and then you have the expensive equipment rental, and just everything costs extraordinary amounts of money. And that means it is not accessible. It cannot be accessed by people who want to tell stories. And as George Miller is saying, it will make storytelling available to anyone who has a calling to it, he says. I know kids not yet in their teens using AI. They don't have to raise money. They're making films or at least putting footage together. It's way more egalitarian. So we have to remember this whenever we see people striking, whenever we see people decrying the use of AI in industries like the film industry. They are quite rightfully protecting their own livelihood. They want this to not be available for everybody, because if it's available for everybody, then their livelihood is done for. So when a Hollywood actor is screaming from the rooftops, we need to stop AI, that's because their likeness, their face, their ability to command millions of dollars for being in a movie is at threat. So it's very understandable. But the flip side of that is it's also incredibly elitist, and it's keeping everything tightly controlled. So I do find it bizarre when people rush to the defense of Hollywood and the Hollywood elites to save them from AI. It's, oh, you want to save these multi-millionaires. Okay. Yeah, so we do need to take that into account. People will be very angry about that, I'm sure. But I think this is coming. I think, like George Miller is saying, it's inevitable. It's a low-cost way to make films where you don't necessarily have to hire 1,000 people. Yes, that's going to lead to job loss in the film industry, 100%. But you're going to be able to make stories that previously would never be able to be told. So if you actually believe in the power of film and art to tell stories then I think you have to be a bit more open to it. I don't normally talk about AI and art though. Okay, I think I got on. It says enter invite code or stay on old Sora. Yeah, so now you're in. You need to enter an invite code, and the best places for getting that will be on the OpenAI Discord, the official OpenAI Discord, or there's a Reddit mega thread. But now you are in the place where you can enter your code, where generally only people in the US and Canada can do that. So you've got through stage 1. Now you just need a code. Amir says, hey Kyle, I was wondering how people can make money with AI. What are the options available? And where can I find resources to learn more? AI is not a magic wand. Doing an AI business is not necessarily going to lead to riches. I know there's a lot of money being thrown around right now, but an AI business is still a business. It still needs to create something that's valuable that you can sell to people and you can market to people. So just doing AI in and of itself is insufficient. So what you need to do is find something that is valuable, find something that would work as a business without AI, and then you add AI to speed it up, to make it cheaper, to allow you to deliver value to your customers faster and faster. An AI business is still a business at the end of the day. In terms of that, I've actually finally got my website up and running. So if you go to AI with Kyle, I have a huge catalog. Let's see if it works. I'm in the middle of a migration. A huge catalog about different ways to use artificial intelligence. So actually what we'll do is we'll click on the business one so we can see all the different types of businesses we can start with AI. We'll do AI business ideas, sales webinars, starting a business with no money, how to actually make money with AI. That's a useful guide because this website is not finished. Offer fundamentals, AI tool ideas, like what kind of stuff can you build and sell, your first $1,000 AI niche. All of these guides are available for free over on aiwithkyle.com. But you have to start with an idea that would work as a business anyway, and then we're going to add AI to it. So AI in and of itself, this is the most important part, is not enough. It still has to be a good business. So definitely go and check out AI with Kyle. Ignore the missing images. I'm working on that today. I'm doing a migration right now from Lovable over to Vercel. The reason for that is Lovable is not very good at SEO because it does client-side rendering. Basically, when you load a page, it loads on your computer. What that means is when Google comes and visits your page, it just sees a blank screen because Google is not able to client-side render it. So I'm doing a huge migration, which I was up until very late last night working on. But the basics are there, so you'll be able to see it. And then by the end of today or tomorrow, all the images and everything else should be there and it should be tidied up. So aiwithkyle.com has a number of different ways to make money using artificial intelligence. That said, I'm pretty biased, and I think the best way right now, and this is something I talk about quite a lot, is teaching businesses how to use AI. So at the beginning of the week, we saw Deloitte, the consultancy company, have had to refund a portion of that to the Australian government because of AI errors. That has happened because their staff members have not been given sufficient training in how to use artificial intelligence, and the fact that it comes out with nonsense sometimes and you need to use human in the loop. So they haven't been given that training. That caused that mistake, and this is a huge embarrassment not just to Deloitte but to the whole consulting industry, because they basically look like idiots, and it means that clients are now thinking, wait, are you just asking ChatGPT, what the hell am I paying you for? So that's an incredibly expensive mistake that happened because the staff members were not trained. So going into businesses right now and training staff members, training leadership, they don't know what's going on what AI is and what they should be using it for, what they should not be using it for, is an incredibly good way to make money at the moment. So I charge about $2,000 per hour to do that, to go and talk to companies and give workshops, because businesses know that if they muck this up, if they get this wrong, it's going to be incredibly expensive. You guys on the live, watching this on YouTube later, you are well ahead of the curve. The fact that you are watching me talk about this kind of stuff shows that you are interested in what on earth is going on in AI. Most people don't know. Most people have maybe downloaded ChatGPT and they're using it as a Google substitute. That's the limit of most people's usage, which means that this incredibly powerful tool is in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing, which from a business point of view, bad, real bad. So what you do is you put together a workshop, and you put together a workshop that is specifically targeted at your industry. So if you have worked in social work for the last 20 years, if you've been an educator, a teacher for the last 20 years, or if you're an engineer, or whatever your particular niche in your industry is, that's where you're going to build your education. So you're going to use your AI knowledge on one side, and then on the other side, you're going to use your industry knowledge, and you're going to act as a bridge, a translator between these two different worlds. I actually created a tool, an AI industry translator, which allows you to come up with the metaphors, the stories, the explanations, the examples specific to your industry. And then you go and teach them, and you charge a lot of money because companies need this kind of stuff. So right now, I think that's probably the best way. Cool. Nate says, where are you moving to from Lovable? For this particular project, I'm now hosting it over on Vercel, and I've migrated it into a React.js app so it can be server-side rendered. So I've moved it over to Vercel and I'm coding it in Cursor now. Honestly, this is quite a useful workflow for a lot of vibe coding. You start in something like Lovable or Bolt. You start there, and then you push it to GitHub, and then you bring it down into Cursor, and you continue to work on it and deploy it wherever you want. So it's currently hosted on Vercel. I've been waiting 3 days to be validated on Discord for Sora 2. The official OpenAI one, that's weird. Lovable, since you have to download from GitHub here. So just Lovable, you connect it directly to GitHub, and then you can pull it down into Cursor and do what you want with it from there and host it where you want. I'm hosting it in Vercel. There are other places, Netlify, for example, or your own web host. So we looked at Sora and the fact that Sora has had a more successful launch than in terms of app downloads, which is very impressive. But at the same time, it has an average 2.9 rating on the App Store because people are very angry that the censorship and the restrictions have been added after a week. So they are review bombing it by the looks of it. And Elon Musk has jumped in and capitalized on this by making Grok fairly uncensored and allowing people to just go wild and create nudity like off the fly. When people talk about, oh, you've censored it too much, this is what they mean. Let's not beat around the bush here. They want nudity in their app. Sure, they'll say it's about free speech, but it's mainly nudity. So Elon Musk has jumped in, and it looks like he's going to capitalize on this by allowing fairly gratuitous nudity on Grok and Grok. Then we also looked at consultancy, and the consultants are having a rough week this week with the Deloitte. I don't want to call it a scandal. It's not dramatic enough. The Deloitte, can't swear, but a mess up from Deloitte. And then looked at finally at George Miller and how AI is a tool like anything else, and it is here to stay and tough. Everybody. Awesome. Hop over to my other live where I'm building an app in public using Lovable. This is a different project to the one I just talked about. And I've got 2 more days to launch it. And I'm going to be launching it on Saturday in my newsletter. If you want to get free access and become a beta tester, then make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. In the newsletter, you'll also get written summaries of everything that's covered in the live. So it's a bit easier, it's a bit more digestible. And it comes every single morning. Nice short summaries of what's happening in AI. And make sure you're subscribed on. We are on our way to 7,000 subscribers. Slowly grinding. Yep, we should be at 7,000 later today, which is starting to sound almost respectable. Excited for 10,000. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you either on the next live, which is building in public. Thanks so much.